Well, hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Live Live, a place where we meet up to receive motivational, inspirational, and activational strategies for those challenging and changing life moments. I am your host, Keeler Bryson. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Monday night of strategies on how to live live. That's right. I hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving holiday. I did. I think this Thanksgiving was the best ever. Yes, it was. We had so much fun. I got so many moments of just laughing out loud. And I tell you, the scripture talks about how laughter is good for you. I can attest that it is. It's good to get together and just have a good old laugh out loud moment with your family and with your friends and just celebrating Thanksgiving and being thankful. I love the holiday season because it helps you to reflect. It gives you an opportunity to hang out with family and friends and just have those days off from work so that you don't have to be worried about, oh, I got to hurry and get home because I've got to go to work. And so I really love this time of year because, it's just a reunion of family time and a refocusing and just a time of reflecting on the things that you're thankful for and reflecting on the blessings that you've been bestowed, throughout the year. And so I really hope that you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. We have another holiday coming up, and it's Christmas. Yay, yay, yay. I've been listening to Christmas music all day today, and I tell you, those songs, they never get old. They definitely put you in the Christmas spirit and help you to be mindful of the reason for this season. So get you some good Christmas music out and decorate your tree and put on your music and just have a good old time. Okay, tonight I have another topic of discussion for us that I would like to present to challenge us, to make us think, to cause us to grow and develop and mature in this area. I was listening to a young man the other day, and he was having some problems. Well, actually, I do life coaching and stuff, helping folks get what they want out of life. And the person was sharing with me some issues that he was having at work. And as I listened intently to what he was saying, I was able to clearly see that he was not being assertive at all. And as a result, he was experiencing some unwanted feedback and some unwanted results simply because he was not assertive. And so I thought about what he was going through, and I was like, I'm going to use that as a topic because I know I have, a variety of age groups that's on the call, and I know that, most of my young life, I think I spent it being a people pleaser, not being assertive, just trying to do what it took to get along, to go along, to get along. And a lot of times, I found myself unhappy and frustrated because of that. And so I want to present this to the callers tonight. Are you assertive? Either you are or you aren't. Some are more assertive than others. And most of us, we know whether or not we are assertive or not. The definition of assertive is this is a person that's self-confident, they're self-assured, they're confident, they're firm, they're forceful. Now, what is the opposite of assertive? Well, a person that's not assertive, this person is timid, shy, fearful, nervous, and hesitant. Now, if that sounds like you, then you are not assertive. And so I have good news. This call is going to help you to become more assertive in a healthy way, in a positive way. We've got to be assertive in this life if we want to achieve different goals and dreams. We've got to be assertive to a certain extent if we want to get what we want or desire out of life. Even in business, we must be assertive, definitely in business. It's nothing wrong with being assertive as long as you do it in the right way. Being assertive is a core communication skill. Do you realize that? It's a core communication skill. Now, When I took communications in college, I never came across that particular knowledge that being assertive was a core communication skill. And so I was very impressed when I saw that. I'm like, oh, this is a form of communicating. And so when you think about it that way, it's okay because you're communicating how you feel to that person. And if we're going to have open and honest communication with others, we must be assertive. And being assertive is a person that's being honest about how they feel. If we're not being assertive, then a lot of times we're not being honest with regard to our true feelings about a matter. Being assertive means that you express yourself effectively and you stand up for your viewpoint. Now, I know plenty of people that do not have a problem expressing themselves, and they stand up for their viewpoint. So much so until they bring drama to any environment that they are a part of. And so you have to watch that. There's a fine line between being assertive versus being just simply aggressive. But these people, they can do it effectively, and they can stand up for their viewpoints while also respecting the rights and beliefs of others. And that's the key part of this equation, being assertive in a way that's respecting the rights and beliefs of others, while at the same time expressing yourself effectively and standing up for your viewpoint. You know, in our world today, this is one communication skill that most of us could use some training on, because most people who are assertive cannot or find it challenging to do it in a respectful way that respects the rights and beliefs of others. And so we want to be the type of people who are assertive in a healthy way that promotes a win-win situation and not a situation whereby there's just a lot of drama, a lot of pain, a lot of misery, and just a lot of violence and hatred. You know, we don't want to be that type of assertiveness. I want you to do it in a way where there's a win-win situation for all involved. You know, as I said, some people are just naturally assertive. And some people, you know, have to learn how to be assertive. And so, as I said, the young man that I was coaching on a call, and I realized that that was his struggle. He was not assertive enough, and that if he would just begin to simply speak up in a respectful way, I know that his situation and circumstances will change with regard to his interactions with others. You know, when you're assertive, it shows that you respect yourself. So now, if being assertive shows that you respect yourself, then when you're not assertive, then that means you don't respect yourself. Think about it in that way, because if we keep that in mind, then that will help us to be more mindful of not disrespecting ourselves by not being assertive. You know, when we are assertive, it helps us. It means that we're willing to stand up for our interests and express our thoughts and our feelings. You know, there's too many people walking around these days who are just not genuinely honest, who do not express their real feelings, and mostly because they don't want to encounter conflict and drama behind it. And so many people just walk around with these little masks on their face and not really expressing their true feelings. And I just believe that if we become assertive in a positive way, we can avoid a whole lot of headache by just being honest and upfront and expressing how we truly feel about a situation. Let's talk about assertive versus passive behavior. You know, if your style is passive, then you are the type of person that's shy and overly easygoing, kind of like the young man that I've been coaching. You know, and a passive person, they routinely will say such thing as, you know, I'll just do whatever the group decides, you know, because they don't want to have a conflict. They're trying to avoid the conflict, and their way of avoiding it is just by going along with whatever the group decides. And I'm here to tell you that is one of the first steps of giving yourself away in an unhealthy way. Once you start that behavior of just avoiding conflict and going along with what the group decides, then you will develop a habit of doing that all the time. And before you know it, you're frustrated because You're like, I'm tired of going along with everybody. Everybody's happy except me. Because when you are passive, you are not going to be happy, but everyone else will be happy because you've given up your right to express and voice your opinions and your concerns. So, why is this a problem? Why is it a problem to just decide to go along with the group or so that you can avoid a conflict? It's a problem. Because this young man that I was talking about earlier, he is experiencing a problem because he's not assertive, and it's causing him to be frustrated because people are taking advantage of him. They're starting to see him as a pushover, and so now he's got to go back and reverse that, which is going to be quite shocking to those because they're so used to him just going along to get along. Now, if you're a young caller on the phone, I want to challenge you and admonish you that to not let people push over you just because you're young. A lot of times when people know that you're young, they will definitely be assertive with you and try to intimidate you with their age and maturity and experience, and as a result, it'll cause you to give in and to yield your right and to yield your true thoughts and interests. You'll yield them over to them. So don't do that. If you're a young caller on the phone, don't do it because you do not want to turn into an older person who has missed, just great moments in life simply because you were not assertive. Don't do it. Okay? So it's a problem when we are not assertive because you're sending a message that your thoughts and your feelings aren't as important as those around you. Did you hear what I said? When you are not assertive, you're sending a message to everyone around you that your thoughts and your feelings aren't important. And in essence, when you're too passive, you give others the license to disregard your wants and your needs. And that's exactly what this young man was going through. He gave these people a license to disregard what he wanted and to disregard what he needed. And quite frankly, some people you have just got to be assertive with because if you don't, they will run over you like a tank. And you've got to set boundaries and put people in their place, so to speak, so that they'll know that you're not going to tolerate them crossing the boundaries that you've set. And one way to let people know that they've crossed the boundary and that you value your opinions and your feelings is to be assertive. In a healthy way, though. When we're not assertive, you'll find yourself taking on, let's say you're at work and somebody asks you to take on a project. Now, your plate, keep in mind, your plate is already full, and the extra work will mean that you'll have to work overtime, and it'll mean that you'll miss your kid's soccer game or basketball game or what have you. Now, you're doing this because your intention is to keep the peace. And most people who are not assertive, that is usually the main intention of why they are passive, because they're trying to keep the peace. And that's good, but not at the expense of selling yourself out, not at the expense of expressing how you truly feel. It's okay to say no, because when you don't say no and you say yes instead, you know what you're doing? You're poisoning that relationship. And worse, it can cause internal conflict within yourself because basically you're putting the needs of yourself and your family second to somebody else. If your friends and families and people who know you well are telling you that you need to start saying no or you need to speak up, take that to heart because that's the universe basically letting you know, hey, you need to be more assertive. There's nothing wrong with it, people, and especially if you're young, because I know young people, sometimes you tend to be intimidated and you go along with things, but I'm telling you, you can be assertive in a healthy way. But if you're not assertive, here are some examples of internal conflict that can be created within you because you're not assertive. And if you are passive, then some of these that I'm going to call out, you're going to relate to them and you're going to bear witness with them. The first thing or the first internal conflict that you're most likely to experience is stress. Wow. Do you realize that if you would just be more assertive, how you would reduce your level of stress? That is Very, very interesting. A lot of people's stress level will go down to a minimal level. They simply learn how to speak up for themselves, simply speak up and say, no, no, I'm not going to tolerate this. No, I don't want to take on that project. I'm sorry, but my plate is already full. That means I have to work overtime, which means I'm going to miss my kids' basketball game. You have to think about yourself. And I know a lot of people say that's being selfish, but for the sake of your health and being not having internal conflict, you must be assertive. The next internal conflict that you're most likely experiencing if you're not assertive is resentment. Yeah, you hate that you said yes. You're looking at your coworkers or your colleagues, they're going on to their vacation while you're stuck in the office on a Saturday and Sunday trying to whip out this project. That will make you bitter and irritable and cranky. And resentment builds up into something more toxic. Resentment will build up into my next internal conflict item, which is seething anger. Seething anger. Now, there's one thing to be angry, but to have seething angry, this is the type of anger where it's boiling, it's foaming, it's bubbling. I mean, this is a person that's upset to the point where they're about to explode. And if you are a passive person, then you can relate to that. You've probably been so upset with people to the point where you felt like you were about to snap or click on them. I mean, to the point where you literally felt your head get light because you were so angry. Okay? You don't have to walk around like that. Now, all of these type of feelings, all it's doing is putting stress on your body, causing you to release unhealthy chemicals in your body because you're frustrated. The next internal conflict, you're probably going to have feelings of victimization, and rightfully so. At some point, you're going to feel like you're being victimized or taken advantage of by people who know that more than likely you're going to go along to get along. You're going to feel victimized because people know that you're going to say yes, and so therefore they're going to ask you to do ridiculous things. They're going to ask you to do things that are basically not in your best interest. And so at that point, you start feeling victimized. After a while, if you're too passive, people just start assuming that they can depend on you to be passive. Now, who wants to live a life like that? Now, if there are any young callers, you don't have to. You're too young to be dealing with that. And if there are any older callers on the line, you are sure enough too old to be allowing somebody to treat you and do you like this. It's time to speak up. It's time to be assertive. This is your life, and the only way you're going to live the life that you want and possess the things that you desire, you've got to be assertive. You've got to speak up. You've got to advocate for yourself because no one else will. The final internal conflict that can be felt by passive people is they will start having a desire to exact revenge. Yes, these people are dangerous. If you're passive, when you're looking at this type of behavior, this is a person that could end up on that show Snapped. Yes, you could end up on Snap if you don't get control of these internal conflict behaviors. You'll start exacting revenge because you're trying to get back at these people for taking advantage of you, for creating stress on you. And all along you're thinking, don't they see what they're doing to me? Don't they see how unhappy I am? Don't they see how they're taking advantage of me? Don't they see that I'm not able to attend my child's basketball game because I took on this project? No, they're not going to see it. They're not going to, they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what your mind is wanting. The only way they're going to know, you've got to speak up and be assertive. Now let's talk about assertive versus aggressive behavior, because in our society we see a lot of assertive versus aggressive behavior. If your style is aggressive, because I know I have a variety of folks on the call, if your behavior style is aggressive, you probably tend to come across as a bully who disregards the needs of people. You don't care about people's feelings or their opinions. You may also appear to be self-righteous or superior. An aggressive style person is irritating and frustrating, and most people try to avoid them because these people are so aggressive. They will humiliate you. They try to intimidate you, and they may be physically threatening. So if you are dealing with a person that's aggressive, my goodness, you've definitely got to be assertive with them, because if you don't, look at what they're going to do. They're going to humiliate, intimidate you. I mean, they're like a bully, and we all know that bullies have to be stopped, because if they don't, they will cause you to become so frustrated until there have been people that have committed suicide because of bullies. They just got tired of them tormenting them. But one thing that I've realized about bullies is that all they need, the way that you resolve the situation with bullies, you have to confront them. You have to resist them. You have to speak up and take charge and authority of the situation. You don't avoid them. You have to confront them, because the more you avoid them, the worse they become. Some people think that, well, I got to be aggressive if I'm going to get what I want. But, being aggressive, it comes at a cost, because people won't trust you. They won't have mutual respect for you. And matter of fact, they're going to resent you. And some people will resent you to the point of avoiding or opposing you on a project, or opposing you on some sort of plan or idea that you're trying to work on, or a project, because they know that you're a bully. And so they're going to resist you, avoid you, and oppose you, because you are just too aggressive. So if we have any aggressive style folks on the phone, you need to really think about that, because if you want people to really respect you and have that mutual trust, then you're sure not going to get it being aggressive and being a bully. Now, the benefits of, let's talk about the benefits of being assertive. Because what's the point of all this, you may be thinking. Keila, why should I be assertive? Well, first of all, because it will help you to get your how you feel across to people. It will prevent you from being in controlling situations. It will prevent you from being trapped up in situations that you really wanted to say no to. Being assertive is basically a healthy communication style, because so many people are not healthy in their communication. You will be surprised, and maybe not, but there are so many people who are just so fake in their communication. You're not getting the real them. And if you have a person that's always nice and just easygoing, and okay, watch those, because I just gave you the signs, the internal conflict of what they're really feeling as a result of your taking them for granted with regard to going along to get along, so to speak. But if you want to be assertive, the benefit is that it's a healthy communication style. You'll avoid feeling all those internal conflict items that I listed. You won't be stressful. You won't be stressed. You won't be resentful. You won't have that seething anger. You won't be seeking revenge. And nobody wants to live their life like that, because all those behaviors, I believe, give off poisonous chemicals in our bodies, which could be the cause of why some of us are sick, depressed, and looking older than we are, when we simply need to stand up. Now, the first thing that you will experience by being assertive is that, as I said, you'll feel less stressed. You'll gain self-confidence and self-esteem. Because I'm here to tell you, saying no, once you get it down, oh my goodness, it feels good. Yes, it does. It feels good to say no. And it feels good to let people know how you feel, instead of holding it in and trying to keep the peace and, trying to keep your facial expression looking like, you're not upset or angry or offended. That's a lot of work and stress on your body by trying to hide your true feelings. And so when you say no, it feels good. And I am a witness how good it feels. You're going to love it. And you're eventually gonna get to the point where it doesn't even make you feel guilty. You're gonna do it. You know why you're doing it, and for that reason, you're not gonna feel guilty anymore. Another benefit of being assertive is that it helps you to understand and recognize your feelings. Because at the end of the day, no one is concerned about your feelings more than you are. And when you are assertive, it helps you to develop an understanding of why you are having to be assertive. You've thought it through. You know that in the other example that I use, you know that you already have a full plate. You know that your kid's game is coming up. And so, and it helps you to see, well, you know what, I really love my family, and I'm not going to put undue burdens upon them simply because I can't say no. And so you will begin to understand yourself and recognize your feelings. You will earn respect from others. When you start being assertive, people are going to respect you. You know why? Because they know you're going to speak up and advocate for yourself. They know that you're not a pushover. They know that you care about your feelings and what you believe. You care about your interests. When you are assertive, it improves communication. Yes, it does, because first of all, you're honest about how you feel. You're honest about what you believe. And the more you are assertive, the better you become at it. And being assertive creates win-win situations, whereas being a passive, it creates a win-lose situation. And guess who's the loser, everybody? Yeah, the passive person. The person that's not assertive usually ends up being the loser. So we want to create win-win situations. When you are assertive, it improves your decision-making skills. Yes, it does, because your decision won't be the one and only decision, which is yes. Okay, I'll do it. How can you develop and improve your decision-making skills if your answer is always yes? Think about that. So when you become more assertive, your decision-making skills are going to improve because you're learning how to communicate in another way besides yes, yes, yes. Okay? Being assertive creates honest relationships. And how many of you know we need honesty in our relationships? No one wants to be connected with someone that they feel like really feels one way, but they said the response that they gave to be a people pleaser. And so can you trust a person like that that's not being truthful or honest with you completely? No, because deep down inside, you probably know that they didn't mean that. They just said that because they want to please me. And I just feel it's time for us to be honest. There is no future in your fronting. There is no future in these false relationships, because at the end of the day, the truth will come out, especially if you start exemplifying those behaviors of internal conflict, such as stress and seething anger. And then eventually one day you finally just snap, and everybody's wondering, what is wrong? What happened to him? What happened to her? Well, they didn't realize that internally there was a war going on inside of you, because you were giving up your right to express your thoughts, your beliefs, and your interests. You gave up your right to vocalize how you feel. You gave up your right to say no. And as a result, you feel like you've been victimized, and that creates uncontrollable anger. The example that my mom gave me once, she told me that, she said, Keely, you shouldn't bottle up your anger and your emotions and how you truly feel, because when you do that, it causes you to explode. It causes you to lose it when you finally do go off, because you've held things in. It's healthy to release your true feelings via being assertive. Because if you don't, you're going to explode like a grenade one day, okay? And we don't want that. We don't want to see you on that TV show Snapped. We don't want to see people taking advantage of you in the workplace, at school, or in your family. Speak up. It's okay to advocate. Once you become more assertive, you're going to feel less resentful, and you're going to gain more satisfaction. Yes, you will, because you're expressing how you feel and you're not disrespecting yourself by saying yes or going along to get along and to avoid conflict. Okay? Now, here are 4 tips. I've told you about the side effects or the effects of not being assertive. So now you may want to know, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I become assertive? How do I speak up and express my thoughts, my feelings, and my interests? Well, here are 4 tips. You're going to start small, okay? This week I want you, if you are a person who are struggling with this, start small, because, in order to have success at something you've never done before, you want to start off small first. Let's say, for example, go to a restaurant. And we all know that when you go to a restaurant where the waiter has to seat you, they usually try to pick where they're going to seat you. And most people don't oppose it. But for those of you who want to test it out and get some practice in on being assertive, I want to challenge that you request to be seated in a different spot in the restaurant. How about that? That's easy enough. And then gently work your way up to tougher situations. We're going to start small so we can have some successes. In anything, start small. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, learn to say no. Okay? Keyword learn, because I tell you, when you start saying no to people who've been used to hearing yes, oh my goodness, you talk about, you would think you set the world on fire or something. Expect some opposition. Expect some sarcasm once you start saying no. People will even try to make you feel like you're being selfish for saying no, but you're not. You basically, you're thinking about yourself. You're setting some healthy limits, on having a healthy relationship. And sometimes we have to hear the word no. In this life, you are going to hear no. So why should you be the person that's always saying yes? No, that's not fair to you. So learn to say no. Figure out ways. Be clever in it. When you encounter a person that you know every other week is asking you for something, then you need to sit down and figure out how you're going to flip this and so you can get your no answer out to them. Okay? Be clever. Learn. Study the situation. You may need to even check out some books or something on learning how to say no. Read books on saying no. I think there's a book by Norman Vincent Peale, that talks a book where he wrote about saying no, or the power of saying no, or it's okay to say no. Google that and read that book. That'll be a good source to help you if you're struggling. And the third tip is let go of guilt, because as I said, people are going to try to make you feel guilty, and being assertive can be tough. It's no secret. It can be tough, especially if you've been passive or a people pleaser for most of your life. So expect some resistance. The first few times that you say no, you're going to feel unnerving. You're going to feel uncomfortable. But you got to do it for your well-being. Because if you don't advocate for yourself, no one else is going to do it. And advocating for yourself is a way of you respecting yourself and not what other people have to say. It's okay to have healthy self-care, because if you don't, then you're going to be having that internal conflict, and that's what we want to avoid, like the young man that I've been coaching. The fourth tip is express your needs and feelings. Express them. Don't hold them in. Don't bottle them in like my mom told me, because if you do, you're going to explode like a grenade. Don't assume that someone will automatically know what you need. And I know as women sometimes this is our fault of thinking that people or men can read our minds or our behaviors or our nonverbal behavior. Express what you need. Express how you feel. Be specific, clear, honest, and most of all, be respectful. And because if you're respectful, then you'll have more success in being assertive, okay? Because it's not in what you say, it's how you say it. Remember that. And those of you who are already like aggressive in your behavior, then you really need to reconsider your behavior and change up so that you can have trust and mutual respect from people, and people will want to be around you. If you're aggressive, you don't want people avoiding you or opposing you because they know here comes the bully, going to try to bully us into going along with what they want. You don't have to do that to get people to go along with what you want. Be more relaxed and more respectful in how you address people. And so that's the topic that I wanted to share with you all on tonight. I felt like it was a really good topic. It's really rich. It's really helpful. And it is definitely a much-needed topic of discussion because so many people are not being assertive, and as a result, they're living in misery. If you will make the decision to stand up for yourself, speak up for yourself in a respectful way, then you won't have all that internal conflict going on inside of you. Well, everybody, that's my time. This has been a teachable life moment with Keeler Bryson, where it is absolutely imperative that you live lives. Yes. If you would like to connect with me on Facebook, on there, you can find me at Keeler Bryson, Teachable Life Moments, LLC. You can find me on Twitter at Keeler Savant, or you can visit my website at KeelerBryson.com, and you can email me or direct message me at Keeler@KeelerBryson.com. And don't forget, everybody, I just released my second book. It's entitled Live Live. Yay! And it's a book that will give you tips on how to live a life of accomplishments in the face of obstacles. Yes. And so now, we're entering the Christmas season. Pick up a copy. Buy a copy for an upcoming college graduate. Buy a copy for someone you know who's struggling with fulfilling their dreams and accomplishments because of their obstacles that they keep going through. And I believe it will be a great benefit and a great help to those who are struggling right now. Okay, I will see you guys here on next Monday at the same place, the same time. Thank you so much for your support and your continual attendance to this call. Have a great week, everybody.